Welcome to the October edition of Turf Moor. The Clarets are in seventh heaven in the Premier League as the international breaks upon us. A return to action this weekend, of course, but in the meantime, here's what's on today's show. Michael Kightly returns to Turf Moor, with the former Claret joining Phil Bird on commentary for the Everton game. We have a fantastic two-part interview with Sean Dyche as he approaches 7 years in charge. Martin Dobson is back at Turf Moor to donate some of his fascinating career memorabilia. And Phil Bird steps into the archives to bring us some landmark Premier League goals. After a career spanning 16 years, Michael Kightly was back here a few weeks ago in the commentary box with Phil Bird ahead of the Everton game. I caught up with the midfielder to talk about his time at Turf Moor and his post-career aspirations.
It's going to be Kightly to deliver. Gets it in there. Oh, Michael Kightly! What a free kick! Burnley have doubled the advantage, and it's Michael Kightly in fantastic form.
Well, Michael, welcome back to Turf Moor. It's been a little while, and I'm hearing this might be your first time back since you left.
Yeah, not been back for a while. Obviously, been busy playing. Obviously, now I've finished. It's nice to come back.
Happy memories of this place?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, 2 promotions, and obviously staying up in the Premier League in the last year. Nothing but good memories. Really enjoy the place.
Take you back to that day and that goal here, when they had the free kick on the left, and we weren't sure you crossed it or went for the far post. You're going to tell us all day you went for the far post.
No, it was one that obviously the gaffer and the staff always sort of said aim for the far post, and if it goes in, it goes in. But so it was one of those. It was sort of probably the best goal that I've scored in my career, really. Like, importance-wise, it was a great day for the club, and obviously to score in it was even more special. And
I think I'm right in saying it's 5 years to the day almost since you scored your last goal for us, which is at Leicester.
Yeah, I think that was my first Premier League goal for Burnley. So yeah, that was a nice one. Can't believe it's 5 years, to be honest. It's gone really quick.
It's Michael Kightly from a couple of yards. The drought is over. Burnley are level. It fell for Michael Kightly, his first of the season, and deservedly the Clarets are level. Leicester City won, Burnley won.
Your last game here, you were saying to me, you think was Everton?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my last game here, or my last start definitely, was at home to Everton, and we won that day. So hopefully more of the same today.
Surely it's the winner for the Clarets, Scott Arfield.
It's still the same old club since you left. Not a lot's changed, but everything's changed in some ways, Mike. You still keep up to date with what's happening?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the players have changed, but not too much. Obviously the gaffer and all the staff are still here, and the lads that I play with are still doing really well. Obviously, look at the results every week, and it's pleasing to see that they're doing so well and establishing themselves as a Premier League club.
Michael Kightly alongside us. Michael, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks for having me.
Great to see you. Great to see you looking so well. Looks like you could play.
I might be a little bit slower than I used to be, but yeah, no, I'm feeling pretty good, but I'm looking forward to today's game.
And what's Michael Kightly up to these days?
Well, to be fair, for the first sort of couple of weeks I played quite a bit of golf and just sort of took a bit of time out, and then now sort of want to go into the media side. I've actually done Wolves Burnley on the Sky earlier on, yeah. So I enjoyed that. Obviously do a little bit more, get a bit of experience doing it, and hopefully I can stay in the game in some sort of capacity in that side of it.
I was very happy with the career that I had, but also now I'm looking forward to a new chapter.
Brilliant. Thanks, Michael. Let's go through the sides for you.
You're next to the legend that is Phil Bird today on Clarets Player. Well, you may or may not know this, but we have a camera on you guys now every game, so we do expect excitement when we score.
Yeah, I remember seeing a clip of him. I think it might have been against Arsenal a couple of years back, and he was going mad.
A really harsh penalty late on for dangerous kicking against Ben Mee when Koscielny was offside, Darren. How cruel is that?
Obviously, I'll be rooting for Burnley to win, but I don't think I'll be as crazy as he is when we score. Hopefully, we do score.
It's gone deep. It has gone very deep. Hendrick, it's there. Jeff Hendrick with it. Oh, he's got the goal. What a perfect corner. Burnley 1, Everton 0.
Yeah, it's a great finish from Jeff Hendrick. There was one in the first half when he got round the back, and it's a great ball from Westwood, and to be fair, what a finish.
Ball inside for Kightly, chance for Michael Kightly, 1-0! What a goal! What a finish from Michael Kightly! His first goal at Turf Moor.
It's hard to believe it's almost 7 years since Sean Dyche was appointed Burnley manager. Ahead of another anniversary later this month, we caught up with the gaffer to look at the 7 games that have defined his 7 seasons. Well, Gaffer, thanks for joining us. 7 years, it doesn't seem that long, does it?
Well, it's been a very good 7 years for lots of different reasons, as most will agree, I think. But it certainly has gone very, very quickly, that's for sure.
We wanted to kind of touch on those 7 individual seasons and try and pick your brains on what you thought were the sort of games that mattered, that had the biggest impact on those seasons. The first season you were here, the 12-13 season when you came in, it must have felt like a huge job that you had on your hands, because you'd come in, I think you'd seen us at Cardiff the week before you arrived.
Yeah, I think the thing was that, you know, I was aware of, people make you aware, by the way, which is a funny thing about life, that let's just say I wasn't everyone's favourite for the job. That was an interesting time, and then knowing the reality of where the team was at, and then thinking about the bigger picture and how we were going to fix it, not just immediately in the longer run, was it wasn't daunting, but I thought, you know, it's going to be interesting and important to lay down early on what we expect from ourselves and from the group, and what we expect from the club as well. So I think it was an interesting spell when I look back. That first days and a few weeks were really interesting when I look back on it.
And in that first season, the game you've chosen, in many ways, the club you've chosen, bookends that season, because you got your first win against Wolves, and the game you've chosen is the game down at Wolves, which ultimately eased all the pressure of any threats of going down or anything.
You know, when you think back, we got off to a flyer with Wolves at home, and an important game. You know, it was because, like I said, I wasn't everyone's favourite for the job. You immediately get off to a win, an important win. I thought the team played well. And if you remember, that side that Wolves were putting out at that time was a strong side. You know, it was a powerful side, and we delivered a good performance and got a good win. And then we kind of took off, and then it faltered. So by the time we came to the repeat game against Wolves down at their place, we'd had a fall from the sort of 7th place, and slowly but surely we're dropping down. And people didn't really know all the different things I was managing behind the scenes then, and players leaving and players taking drops and players wanting to leave, but still trying to keep them focused on the job. And we went down to Wolves with a look over our shoulder. You know, everyone's going, look, if we don't get this one done. So it was a nerve-wracking game for different reasons, and to deliver a very, very good performance down there. I think that was the first time I sat back with the staff and said, right, we've got the first part of this done, because we knew in the summer we'd probably have to remodel, and we knew we wouldn't have a lot of finance to do that. But it was important to change the mentality, and a pre-season often gives you the chance to change that mentality. So a very important game for me, personally as manager, and a very important game for the club for different reasons.
And you mentioned the rebuilding job then, the start of your first full season here, the 13-14 season. One of the building blocks of that foundations was taken away straight away. You had to sell Charlie Austin. And it's something I'd forgotten about and not really reflected upon. But when you look back at that point, my goodness me, what a start to the season you made without Charlie. You won 11 of your first 14 games without your star striker.
Unbelievable. I think, in a strange way, the Charlie Austin moment I thought it was a real baseline for the club, and I thought that reconnected. I thought that actually helped reconnect the fans and the team, because I think even the fans then thought, well, hang on a minute, if you're this manager and you've got these players and you're losing them because they won't re-sign contracts, because we were offering them drops at the time in contracts, and then you get your sort of key striker sold 2 or 3 days, I think it was 2 days before the first game. I think even our fans went, hang on a minute, they need us. And they were fantastic. You know, the one thing I've learned about the Burnley supporters, if they get kicked, they all limp together, and they're like, I think this one's a knock. You know, I think losing your striker this late in the pre-season is a knock for everyone, and probably even this manager. You know, still 50-50 at that time, whether they wanted me or they didn't. But I think they went with, not necessarily me, but the idea that the club needs them. And I think that gave the strength, went onto the pitch with the players. That's my point. They know they had every crowd member behind them.
Well, the wins kept coming through that season, and that brings us to what's probably still, you reckon, your favourite game, which was the game of that season, the Wigan game.
I felt the performance was as game ready and as good in a really high-pressured moment, don't forget, as any performance I'd seen from the side, probably even now. You know, because the enormity of it, the end to an amazing sort of journey, but one where people are going, are they going to get it over the line? Are they going to falter? And to go and deliver the performance we did. And people forget, I think Wigan had won something like 6 out of 7 or 6 out of 8 at that time. They were a strong side, they had a change in manager. And the goal, Barnes' goal, I mean, that encapsulates everything I think is right about football. Can you pass? Yes. Can you play? Yes. Can you mix it? Can you play with energy? Can you play with quality? That encapsulates it. And I just thought, On the pitch, amazing. But then what it meant to the club, what it meant around the place, what it meant to everything we're sitting in now, everything that started from that moment onwards was massive. I didn't know everything was coming that we've achieved, but obviously it was a sense of that achievement was a start point rather than the finish, and I really like that. I don't think that'll ever change.
Moving on to the next season, anyone would pick this, I'd imagine, was beating the champions at home, that Manchester City night and that fantastic George Boyd goal.
I think the key to that was, we're alive, we're fighting, and I always suggest I want a team that will put sweat on the shirt. That was the only thing I ever guaranteed, and we were still fighting, we were still working, we were still playing, we were still adjusting to the challenge of the Premier League, and I think for the fans, to take a scalp like that, particularly at that time, we've taken more since, but at that time with, a team that was questioned, could they do this, could they do that, could they do anything really in the Premier League, to take that win at that time was important for many different reasons. So probably that one for the fans as much as any other reason.
The 15-16 season, of course, we had to take a step back. It's a championship to build again, and it probably goes without saying that season, it was just one long blur, especially second half, of win after win after win.
Incredible. I mean, we got to Boxing Day and we were getting questioned. I understand why. Not ever. I must say, I never questioned the fans here really. Only in my very, very early days, judging a bit quickly. But I've never really questioned since then. I don't mean any real bad feeling, but there was just murmurings of, where's this going? Because we got beat away at Hull. And I made some changes then. And I tell you, it was an important game then. I don't even remember, we went away and won in the Cup at Middlesbrough. Mm-hmm. And Middlesbrough were flying at that time, and it sort of, it brought a different feel to it, and it just sort of clicked back in, and a couple of changes to the side, and we started, and really started. You look at the performances and the quality of the performances, you think, wow, this is a big shift, and you could sense it. You could sense the energy in the group, and we were blowing teams away at times, and it was an unbelievably enjoyable experience, that 23 games, unbelievably enjoyable.
And that takes us to the game itself of that season. We'd already won promotion against QPR. The game you've chosen was Charlton away. Just give us a few.
I remember Alan at the time, the bus driver, he put on Simply the Best by Tina Turner of his own accord, and the lads just started singing along with it, and unbelievable energy on the bus, going down there. We'd already sealed it, and then could we go and win it? But the energy on the bus, it was right. And I'm not really big on that sometimes. It can get too flippant. But this time I thought, no, it's right. And then funny enough, we were awful first half. And this sounds mad. I remember Joey come in not happy, it's fair to say, and I certainly wasn't happy. And probably gave him the biggest roasting of the season was that half time. And then second half, we were far too strong and blew Charlton away. And I think the reason why that's my favourite, you've got to remember, it's hard going 23 and then half a season unbeaten, but then to culminate with winning it was amazing. And even the quirky things, no trophy there, Tom Heaton jumping up with the blow-up trophy, and the bank of fans singing afterwards for ages, trying to get back to the hotel and getting off the bus and walking down the hard shoulder kind of encapsulates like the thought of Burnley at the time, very under the radar, very low-key, a fantastic night out in a friend of mine's place in London, the Swan at the Globe, and for the team, and 4 supporters randomly managed to get in. They just gate crashed in, and I just bumped it. I said, "Well, who are you?" And they went, "We're just supporters. We just heard this noise and we came in." I mean, they couldn't believe what they were doing. I don't know. There's so many on the pitch, so many off the pitch things. Such an amazing feeling. Fans have backed it all the way again, and just I thought it encapsulated a magic moment.
What a season! What a season! And I'll rejoin the gaffer later in the show for the rest of that chat. And on the subject of milestones, Jeff Hendrick recently got his 100th Premier League appearance for the Clarets. But who else is in the 100 Club?
What a way to celebrate your 100th Premier League appearance! Rashford will collect this inside the box. Chance for Rashford, perhaps. Off the line. Clearance off the line from Burnley. Big chance here. It's not cross on for Anderson. In the box now, Anderson clips it towards goal. Oh, what a clearance from Burnley. How did the skipper keep that out? After 9 months out injured, my word, he's worked hard to get back. And what a time to get your first Premier League goal! Swung it towards the back post, and a one! Oh, it's three! Oh, it's three! Looks back inside for Vokes! Yes! Sam Vokes! What a way to celebrate your 100th Premier League appearance! ball right into the mix. Burnley win the header. On target! He's on his first goal for the Clarets. Hendrick to collect it, looking to have a shot. Oh, and a goal! He headed away initially. Might fall here for Hendrick. 1-0 Burnley! Who's he got in the middle? Threads it through Vidra. Here's Hendrick. Oh yes! Oh yes! Jeff Hendrick! Dobson on to Boyd, not seeing him going forward too much yet. Dobson on nicely, chance here. Oh, it's 1-1! What a goal from Ashley Barnes! A real finish from Ashley Barnes. Looks it back inside for Barnes. He got it! Ashley Barnes! Oh, what a finish! His first goal since he's come back from injury. And what a goal that is! He's on one towards the back post. Barnes! Yes! Oh, what a goal! It's 4-4 for Ashley Barnes. What a finish, right-footed.
Now to a man who's synonymous with Burnley Football Club. Martin Dobson was back here recently to donate some of his career memorabilia to the club. Pete Oliver sat down with the Clarets legend to look at some pieces of history.
Martin, we never need an excuse to speak to you, and it's lovely to see you at Turf Moor again, but you've come in today very kindly going to give us memorabilia from your magnificent career, which will be displayed at some point in the club. I presume you've got a lot of nice stuff at home, but is that a big decision to kindly lend it to us?
Well, it was an easy decision really, because I saw Barry at the end of last season. We came to a game against Cardiff, we just started talking about it, and all this stuff has been in cupboards and stuff like that, and I said, well, it would be nice just to donate it to the club. We thought we'd get together at the start of the season and discuss it even more, and we've done that, and it would be nice.
There are lots of special things. We've got a couple here that I just want to have a look at first. England caps, I mean, things of absolute beauty. This one first, 1969-70. That's your under-23 cap, I believe. Just talk us through that one.
Yeah, it's under-23 game down at Plymouth, played Bulgaria, and it was quite interesting that, because the previous week Burnley played down at Arsenal, and I played in number 5 shirt because Jimmy Adamson and Harry Potts, they didn't want to sort out the differences too much on the programme. So obviously I was playing midfield at that time. Played down at Arsenal, there must have been a scout there watching me. And of course I was selected for the under-23 game the following week or whatever it was down at Plymouth. And there was no real organisation, so I went onto the field and I took up my usual midfield position. And I asked one of the lads, says, I look behind, there's only one centre-back playing. And I said, well, who's playing at centre-back? He says, you are, Dobbo.
Because you got number 5.
Because I got number 5 on my back when I played against Arsenal. I said, all right, okay, then I'll go and play centre-back. And it was quite an easy transition to play at centre-back. We won the game 4-1, but it was quite a hilarious situation, me asking when I'm going to be playing before the game.
This is your full England cap. One cap for more than one appearance though. 73-74, a summer tour, that one, is that right?
Yes, it was. My first cap actually was Alf Ramsey's last game.
Yes.
Against Portugal. Now, whether it was anything to do with Dobbo playing there at the Stadium of Light in Lisbon, I'm not quite sure. But then, during the summer, there was a East European tour, and I played against East Germany, Bulgaria and Yugoslavia. And of course I get a cap for every game now, every appearance, but I don't know whether they run out of money, I'm not quite sure, but they only got one cap for 3 appearances, but it was obviously a great time of my life.
It goes out saying a treasured possession.
Yeah, absolutely right, absolutely.
I absolutely love that picture. That is a young Martin Dobson signing your first contract at Burnley Football Club. Yeah. How big a deal was that? And just tell us a little bit of the story behind that. You'd been at Bolton, of course, Clitheroe Grammar School boy with Barry Kilby. He's also shown us that team picture. Released by Bolton, came to Burnley, and just tell us about the trial and how it came that you signed that contract.
Well, this was, everybody needs a break in life, and this was it. You know, I was given a free transfer from Bolton Wanderers in the old 2nd division, which is now the Championship. Didn't know which way my career was going to go. But I sat down with Mum and Dad, and they think they said to me, well, I think you deserve another chance, son. Why don't we get in touch with Burnley? Because he showed interest when I'd already signed for Bolton. And I thought, well, if it's good enough for Dad. Got in touch with Harry Potts. Harry Potts on the phone, a First Division manager, which is now a Premier League manager. And he said, tell Martin to come down on the 1st of July. We'll have a look at him for 2 weeks. Wow. After that period, I put my tracksuit on straight away. I ran. This was May, because obviously July, a couple of months on, I didn't want to go into pre-season training and not be fit enough, because if you only got 2 weeks, so every morning I used to get up at 6 o'clock and run and get fit. Got the 2 weeks here, and it was different class. The coaching was brilliant. It was like completely different than what I was seeing at Bolton over that 12 months. But at the end of the 2 weeks, I went over to Jimmy Adamson, the coach, and I said, Jimmy, do you want me back on Monday morning? And he looked at me a bit quizzically, and he says, what do you mean, Dobbo? Of course I want you back on Monday morning. I says, well, the manager, Harry Potts, said I'm only here for 2 weeks, and the 2 weeks are up. He says, go and see the manager, there's a contract for you. How did I feel? All right. Just scooted off to his knocked on the door, and there are all these blue forms there to sign. So, Martin, come on in, this is Harry Potts, come and sign the documents. £20 a week, playing at the top division. And I thought, absolutely fantastic. And then £5 appearance, £4 winning bonus. Money didn't mean anything at all. They gave me a chance, and every day I was in learning from wonderful professional players, coach, managers, and this club did everything for my career.
Just lastly then, the modern day, tricky season last season, up to the halfway through it. I know you keep your eye across things. Great start to the current season for Sean's team.
Fantastic. 12 points from the games that they've had now, but you look at what happened last season, 12 points from 18 games, I think it was, and all of a sudden, changes are made with Tom coming in and the young lad, Mackie, fantastic, and all of a sudden it takes off, doesn't it? And shows how the influence of people, making decisions like that, and how it can affect everybody at the club. And it was a difficult one for me, of course, on Saturday with Everton, and I kept away from it because I just want both teams to win every game. But great for Burnley, great win, and onwards and upwards, and it looks like it's going to be a really successful season again.
Thanks for bringing these, Martin. Lovely touch of the past, and great to see you looking so fit and well.
No problem. Thanks very much.
Always good to hear from Dobbo, and likewise Phil Bird, who's been taking a look back at some of our landmark Premier League goals.
Chris Wood's recent equaliser at Villa Park was a landmark goal for Burnley. Everybody will remember the first goal, Robbie Blake's sensational volley against Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United on a sensational Turf Moor night.
Back here to Jordan, good pressure from Burnley. Jordan with the cross in, looking for Patterson at the far post. Evra wins it, Blake! Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Robbie Blake! Burnley's first goal in the Premier League is something very, very special.
We had to wait over 5 years for goal number 50. Danny Ings got that in a shock 2-1 win at Stoke City in November 2014.
Well, Burnley break on that far side with Kightly. He's got men in the middle. Boyd's trying to join him here. Ball in, it's 2-0! It's 2-0 for the Clarets, and it's Danny Ings again!
Andre Gray got goal number 100. Burnley was searching for an elusive away win in that Premier League season. He scored twice. The first was a debatable penalty given for handball. It was his second goal that brought up the 100.
10-1, chance here for Gray perhaps. Can he finish it? Yes, he can! Burnley lead! Andre Gray on form. Super finish.
For goal number 150, we need to go back to last season, September 2018. It'd been a difficult start to that season, but Burnley beat AFC Bournemouth 4-0. Aaron Lennon's first goal for the club brought up the 150.
giving him space here. Can he hook it inside? He's looking for Vokes. Gone beyond them. Yeah! Aaron Lennon, it's 2-0!
The double century was reached last month when Chris Wood headed home the equaliser at Villa Park. Earlier, Jay Rodriguez had made it 1-1, but when John McGinn scored for Villa, the Premier League newcomers were 2-1 up. Burnley's response came inside 2 minutes. Fabulous cross from Matt Lowton, headed home by Chris Wood.
Nice turn, he's got Lowton available right hand side, getting him in the middle here. Dummies the first ball into the middle. Oh, it's 2-2! Oh, what about that for a story?
That's 200 and counting. Let's hope there's many, many more to come.
And if you fancy getting hold of one of the shirts in that piece, signed by either Aaron Lennon or Chris Wood, simply tweet us using the hashtag #LandmarkGoals. Right, back to the gaffer, and he sits down and lifts the lid again on the second part of his 7 defining games in 7 seasons. You're back in the Premier League in the 16-17 season. We get a big win against Liverpool early in the season, but the big game that year, as ultimately the results kind of slipped a little bit and we found ourselves in a little bit of trouble, was Palace away, which was back in April. Was a big win for you.
Yeah, I mean, we'd always stayed above it, you know, all of that season. We'd kind of shifted just above the relegation zone, and away from home we'd found it difficult. There'd been a few gone against us, I felt. You know, I certainly didn't think we deserved to get to that stage and not have an away win. And then to go down to Palace was a nervous one, and everyone's wondering, you know, are we going to have enough or are we not? And then that win was a fantastic win. I remember, you know, the team playing well in an awkward predicament, you know, of this is important to both sides, actually, if you remember. And I remember, you know, getting the first goal and then Andre coming on sub, and, you know, what Andre's, one of his strongest points, when he's running towards goal, he doesn't overthink it, and he absolutely melted one into the net. And I remember thinking, right, that's the moment. And when you think that we hadn't managed to get it over the line the first time, the club hadn't managed to get it over the line under the previous time they were in the Premier League. So to seal that, or more or less seal it, you know, was a really, really fantastic moment, I think, for everyone. A different kind of moment, more of a relief moment, though. You know, the 23 games, the Wigan and their elation, you know, that was more of a, you know, okay, big thing done, you know, big thing achieved in a different way. But still a really important thing at that time.
We didn't have to wait long in the following season, in the 17-18 season, for your chosen game, which was the opening day on a baking hot day at Chelsea.
Unbelievable day. We started right, the intent was right. I could sense it in the dressing room. Sometimes you have this thing as a manager where I've been around dressing rooms all my life, and you can sense when it's almost not going to go right, and it's a hard thing to change. That was completely the opposite. Strange thing, I remember we'd had a good pre-season. Everyone was really fit and really raring to go, and you could sense it, and there was an authenticity to the group that day. There was like, yeah, we're taking this on. We're having it. Now, of course, some things worked in our favour. They had a sending off and things like that, but if you remember, first half, I thought we were excellent.
Yeah.
The funniest thing about that, I don't mind giving you an insight, is we have a little staff meeting at half time, which is like, what do you think? What do you think? I wouldn't use the word, but I said, I don't know what I think. I said, I weren't thinking we were going to be 3-0 up. And there was an expletive or two in there as well. And we just all sort of giggled to ourselves, you know, in a good way, in a professional way, but just sort of like, and I remember sort of saying to the lads, do more of that, basically. Anyway, we got it over the line, and I know you're going to bring it up, so I'll trump you, but I did actually celebrate, which is unusual for me. I just thought, it's funny there. There's a feeling in the crowd there. They were. I don't even remember they were mentioning we'd wasted time and we'd done all this and we'd done all that. And yet when Ben Mee got a crack on his head, they actually played on to try and score a goal. I thought, no, that's unacceptable. You know, I'm not having that. And I remember referencing that in my head. I thought, no, I'm not having that. And then we took on, and that's why I celebrated. Just because I thought, no, you know, trying to do us down when I think we played pretty fair overall. But anyway, I really enjoyed that moment. And of course, sort of immediately got off and running because of the previous year. Don't forget, one win away, we've already got one straight away. So the story stopped straight away. Rather than it being, can Burnley win away this season? It just stopped straight away.
I'll give you a mindset of a Burnley fan, a lifelong Burnley fan. At half-time, I turned to Pete beside me and said, I think we'll get a draw today. 3-0 up at Chelsea.
Barry Kilby's the same. He's like that. Tony Lives is like that. I'll scamble a bit better than that, but I know what you mean. There is a bit of that Burnley thing. I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I think there was with me.
You had 9 home wins before Christmas that season, and then, of course, you had 5 in a row after a sticky spell that really cemented 7th spot. An amazing achievement.
Yeah, awesome. 5 wins in a row in the Premier League is an achievement in itself. You know, to go through a tough spell and then pull 5 wins out of the bag for the players was a fantastic achievement, and really, you know, extend that gap and make sure that we were in that 7th place.
The 18-19 season was memorable for, of course, the Europa League, but that's not your choice, but we have to start by mentioning the Europa League.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why, it's not my choice because it was, as everyone knows, it was the double-edged sword of amazing in one way, but a massive challenge in another. But you have to look back and reference the fact that the club hadn't been in European tournaments of any kind for 51 years. So to play at Aberdeen in that first game, just for what it stood for, you know, that is an amazing thing, and in years to come people will probably celebrate it more than they do now, including myself. You know, I don't overthink it now, but in years to come I'll probably think, wow, that was a big achievement to go there.
Proper cup tie as well, that wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
But the game you've chosen was, and many people will see this as the defining moment of the season, was the West Ham game that came at Christmas after the Everton defeat.
Yeah, I think all the questions, some rightly so, we hadn't performed like we can perform, we knew that. Speaking with the players, not over-egging it. I said at the time, you know, everyone thinks you're going to have these big meetings and get them in at 7 in the morning to watch games. Not my style. Spoke with the players, reminded them of the trust I had in them, reminded me of the pride that I had in them, you know, even though we're in a tough spell. And we kind of simplified what our thoughts were, and reminded ourselves of all the good stuff and how we've got to where we've got to. And I think that was a really, really important game, you know, just to show we're alive, we're ready and we're alive. And I think we did. I think the performance was way above that. I think we dominated that game, and that was really a big step forward. And yet again, I must say, and the fans were brilliant. You know, we'd had that really horrible game, and the fans were brilliant. You know, I've been in enough football grounds, enough football groups to know that when the fans are with you, it helps because it deloads the pressure, it lets players play. And our fans have been brilliant for that, and I think that was a really important time. And to deliver that performance, win that game, was a vital moment, I thought, in that season. And we never looked back, to be fair, you know, after that.
And here we are, 4 successive seasons in the Premier League. Your 7th season here, all those milestones, all those highlights. Where can we go? What's next?
Well, I think building on last season was an authentic thing that I've said through the media, and you know, I think we have to. I don't think we're in a position. It might come in the future, but I don't think we're cemented in the Premier League every year. I think every season's a big challenge, and I think that's a good mindset to have, actually. I think it's an open mindset, and I think the players go, right, you know, we need that edge in what we do. You know, all the things that modern football represents, really. Can the club, when do we stretch our finance? When do we move forward with the ground, for example? You know, who knows what can come next? Because if you'd have asked me 7 years ago, I wouldn't have told you all this was going to happen. There's some things I thought, the things I did think, just to give you a reference point, I thought we could build on the side that was here, we could restructure it and reformat it and make it certainly to get better results. If you would have said that'll lead to promotion, relegation, re-promotion, years in the Premier League, building training grounds, I can't honestly say I would have, I think I'd be a bit of a fraud if I would have promised all them things at that time. So I'm very open-minded is the point. We're here now, we're in the Premier League again, we're delivering at the moment, we're getting points on the board. I'm very open-minded for what comes next, but it's certainly, I've enjoyed the ride and I continue to do so.
I think we're all looking forward to seeing what the future holds. Gareth, it's been an amazing 7 years. Long may it continue. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Long may it continue indeed. That's it for this month's edition of Turf Moor. The Clarets are back in action at Leicester this weekend. Let's take a look back at last season's stalemate, where the result was secondary to an emotional day for the Foxes. See you soon.